Hello again. Well, yesterday we got back from our vacation, our annual vacation. We went upstate New York and into Vermont. And on the way, we stopped at quite a few used bookstores. Just about every day we stopped for 7 days at bookstores. So I'm going to go over what I purchased and explain some of the details. The Oxbow Incident I have never read, and these were very cheap, probably like $1. So I figured what the heck, I'd get them both. One to read. The yellow one is nice vintage. I could save that one. The Western Writings of Stephen Crane. Of course, he wrote The Red Badge of Courage, which you see right here. Some of these Westerns, actually, we had gone to a store called Phoenix Used Books, something like that, and it was in upstate New York, and he was closing. He was going out of business. And outside he had several thousand paperbacks. I took about 40. They were free. It was just take what you want. And he was closed at the time. They were just sitting out front in bookcases. So we pulled up, and we actually did get into the store the next day. But at the time, I didn't know when he was going to be open. And so we just took as many. I took as many books as I could. So a lot of these are from that book haul. I don't remember some paperbacks I bought elsewhere, but a lot of these, about 40 of them, were free, just sitting out front, waiting for people to come by and take them. And I got real lucky. So some books I took that I normally probably wouldn't read, but it was free. So I figured, what the heck, like North to Cheyenne. Lou Cameron. He wrote the novel for How the West Was Won, the TV series. Tall Men, Clay Fisher. Again, some of these I purchased for maybe $1 or $2, but a lot of them I did get for nothing. This one I do believe was at that Phoenix bookstore. No charge. This one also was from that. Normally I wouldn't read a Western like that, but it's a nice vintage book, and I figured, what the heck, I'd take it. The Trial of Billy Peel, I got 2 of them. They were both in excellent condition, just sitting there waiting for somebody. So why not me? Another Wayne Overholser, just like these, Wayne Overholser. His son writes also. His name is Stephen. This book I got elsewhere, Cherokee by Will Henry. It's probably my favorite Will Henry book. It was free. The cover was actually off the book, and the lady was just giving it away for nothing, so I taped it back on, and it's a good reading copy. I have other copies of this book, but I like that cover. It's a Frank McCarthy painting, I believe. It's very nice. So I thought, what the heck, good reading copy. Centennial. I have a lot of Centennials. This one was in really great shape, and I just couldn't leave the store without it. I actually have that cover already, but mine isn't as nice as that one. This one is really like unread. Spine is not creased. Excellent condition, so I had to get it. Winter in the Blood, James Welch. He wrote a great book called Fool's Crow, and this is more modern. I think probably takes place in the 1950s. So I never read that. That seemed like a good deal. That was probably $1 or $2. This also I think I purchased probably $1 or $2. This I think was like 75 cents. Monty Walsh, and that was a really good deal. I've wanted to get this book for a while, and on the internet, it was, because it's out of print, at least when I was checking on it last year, copies were a lot of money. I don't remember the prices, but I mean just ridiculous amounts people were charging. So again, I think this was 75 cents, just getting rid of it, and I couldn't believe when I saw it because I had wanted it. This book I have, but this is a good reading copy. I think it was like $1. Will Levington Comfort. This book I found in a bookstore in Vermont. Looks very interesting. I like the cover. I was reading reviews online, got good reviews. Fig Tree John. So I'm looking forward to reading that. This is a nice vintage book, Roads from the Fort, and it takes place in Dakota Territory. Fort Randall. I believe when I looked inside it mentioned Fort Randall. I think it takes place in the maybe 1860s. Not really positive of the decade, but looked very interesting. And on the cover, it's compared to The Big Sky by Guthrie. So I hope that lives up to expectations. This book, The Horse Soldiers, was a movie. There's John Wayne on the cover. This is a really nice vintage book. I used to have this book in like excellent condition. Oh, over maybe 25, 30 years ago, and in a move, I had gotten rid of some books, and that was one of them. It was really stupid of me, but this is a nice edition. It's not quite the edition that I had in terms of quality, but it's still good. And there was actually a book that this writer wrote afterwards that I have. Takes place in the early 1860s in Dakota territory. It's like kind of part two to this book. And the author's name is Harold Sinclair. And that book I have in hardcover. So now one day I'll get to read both of them. I'll read them in sequence, this one and then the other one, and see how the characters evolved. This book, Brett Cogburn, The Texans, never heard of it before. It was relatively inexpensive, probably a couple of dollars, and it looked interesting. So I figured, what the heck, got good reviews. Faraway Blue, Max Evans, he's a well-known Western writer. Looked interesting, about buffalo soldiers. Will Henry, The Bear Paw Horses. That's a book I had when I was a kid and I read, and I really liked it, and had a different cover that actually made sense and went with the book. This cover has nothing to do with the book that I could tell, other than the fact that there's horses on the cover. But it was a good story. I don't remember now why I got rid of it. Bad judgment. Same time I got rid of that Horse Soldiers book, I think. And so anyway, one day maybe I'll find the other cover. In the meantime, I have the book again. Comanche Dawn. This was a really excellent book. I have hardcover and I have a soft cover, but the soft cover is kind of beat up. It's from a used bookshop, and this one, even though it's from a used bookstore, it looks like it was untouched, and it cost me $1. White Man's Road. Oh, and this book, the $1 that it cost me, this was from the store, that Phoenix bookstore. He had some paperbacks still in the store that he was putting out. Had I been there a few hours later, this might have been outside. It would have been free. But while it was in the store, he was still charging a minimal amount. And as I was there, he was actually putting more books outside. So I hated to leave, but I had to go. But I did do great the day before when I was there, when I got about 40 books at least. The White Man's Road. This is a great book by Benjamin Capps. I've never really read anything by him that I didn't like. Great author. I have that book, but this was in such great condition. I figured, what the heck, I'd get another. The Brothers of Uterica. This is a Benjamin Capps book also. And I've never read this one, but again, he's a good writer, so I figured I'd give that one a shot. And Franklin's Crossing. This was a free book at that Phoenix bookstore. Pretty good shape overall. And this seemed like it could be a very good story, thick book. So I'm looking forward to reading that. This book, The Big It by Guthrie, I found in the Cornerstone bookshop in Plattsburgh, New York. Interesting store, lots to look at. This was before we got on the ferry and headed over to Vermont. Because I had finished another book I was reading on the trip, I started this book because it's basically short stories. So I'm almost halfway through it. And so that was also a good find, because I've wanted that book for a while and just never seemed to get it, and there it was, sitting there in really great condition. This book by Edgar Rice Burroughs, The War Chief. This is my third copy. It was in such great shape, and Edgar Rice Burroughs is a legend for the Tarzan novels, and if you find this in great shape for $1 or $2, you're crazy to let it get away, so I figured I would add it to my collection. Will Henry, Cuss's Last Stand. Great artwork. I had this book a long time ago. Again, I think this is one of the ones I let slip away when I was in a move quite a few years ago, and I was happy to see it again in like really great condition. So it's probably about the same quality as the one I had gotten rid of, so that was a great find right there. Here's another one, Clay Fisher, Yellowstone Kelly. I had gotten rid of this because really it's nothing to do with the real Yellowstone Kelly other than the name of the book. The story is completely fictional, and I had gotten rid of it. but the cover is really great. I think it's Frank McCarthy painting on the cover. And so when I saw it, I figured, memories, let me get it again. So what the heck. Bill Gulick, They Came to a Valley. I've liked Gulick's work. Read some of his other books, and so this is like a nice thick book, great condition. It is a little bit vintage. Got to be tender with this one, but maybe I'll find another copy to read and save this one. Nice artwork. Love those old books. This book, The Last Campaign, The Story of the Hunt for Geronimo by Tim Champlin. This got good reviews. I think this was a free book, if I remember right, at that Phoenix bookstore. I think this was just on the shelf. Excellent condition, looks untouched. And by the way, I put the books I have here that are in book bags, I put them in the book bags. And I'm actually out of them. I have to get more. I don't have enough to cover what I came home with. This book is the book I was reading when I left on my trip, except my copy was kind of beat up. And this one I saw at that bookstore in Plattsburgh, Cornerstone Bookshop, just sitting there, all pretty much nice and new, perfect cover, and figure, well, gotta get it. The book was okay, not great, but the cover's really nice, and I couldn't let that get away. This is a book I've wanted to get for a while. Was very surprised to find it in such great condition, nice vintage book, Vardis Fisher, Tale of Valor, a novel of the Lewis and Clark expedition. I'd like to read this one, as everything else. Good luck with that. This is a really nice vintage, so I'm going to keep my eye out for another one that I don't mind reading. Even though I'm tender with the books, I prefer to save this one, but I will read it if I have to. Robert Redford, Mountain Man. I have this book, hardcover, and this seemed like a good purchase. Robert Redford on the cover, Jeremiah Johnson, starring Robert Redford. I have one of these that's actually falling apart, so this one is like mint condition. I have another one also that's still held together, and again I have it in hardcover with that same picture on there. Here's Mountain Man, Vardis Fisher. Interesting cover, same book as the other one. I've seen this on the internet but never purchased it, but when I saw it in the shop, a nice vintage, I think it was maybe a couple of bucks, I figured I gotta get it. Everything okay in there? Okay. I don't know if you heard that on the video, but my son had a little accident in the other room. Something dropped. Okay, carrying on. This book, I've seen a lot. I think this might have been one of those free books at the Phoenix bookshop, so I figured I'd take it. I don't know. I read a book by this author many years ago about Mountain Man, Jim Beckworth. And so I saw this, the same author, and thought I'd give it a try. I mean, it was free, so it doesn't hurt. Not something I would buy otherwise. This also, not something I would normally buy. This was free. So Peter McCurtain, Sundance. Sundance was a character in Western novels, a fictional character. And I think there were several authors that wrote books about him. I'm pretty sure that's true. And this one is a double novel, free, pretty good shape. So I figured, nice cover, free, I'm there. The Rivals. This looks like the kind of cover that a Janice Holt Giles book would have. This is that same era, probably 1970s, 1975, it looks like. Looked interesting. I figured, this is also a free book, Arthur Moore, never heard of him, but for free, frontier-looking novel, I'll give it a shot. This also was a free book, Santa Fe Dream by David Norman. Don't know what to make of it, but Indians on the back. I figured free, I'll take it. Maybe it's good. Flashman and the Redskins, George MacDonald Fraser. A lot of people have heard of this author and this book. I've never had a copy before. It was in pretty great shape. The back was a little bit cracked, but think this might have been a free book, if I remember right, at that Phoenix bookstore, and that was why I took it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have paid for it because it was a little bit bent up. So maybe I'll read this someday. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it, but price was right. This cost me $1 at the Phoenix bookstore. This is one of the books that was inside, had not yet been brought out. For $1, I'll take it. It's a novel about the Nez Perce Indian War. That's Chief Joseph on the cover. Never heard of the author. Have no idea what to make of this book, but it was in great shape, and for $1, I'm not going to let that get away. What if it's really good? This book I have in different versions, including this one, this paperback version. I think this was like $1. So I took it. Good deal, McNeil. Journals of Lewis and Clark. I have this book with a different cover by the same author, John Bakeless. My copy is pretty old. This is a newer printing, and so I figured I could read the older copy, and this copy's a little bit nicer. So good deal there. Not Between Brothers. This looks like some kind of epic novel. Got good reviews. It takes place in Texas with Comanche Indians. Even says on the cover, an American epic. So I'm hoping that this is a good book. I think this was a free book. I'm pretty sure I got it at Phoenix bookstore for free. Excuse my throat, but I need to get a drink, and I still have a lot to go here. Okay, The Chieftain, Robert Payne. This probably cost me $1 or $2. I think I got this in Vermont, Otter Creek bookstore, if I remember correctly. Robert Payne, never heard of it, but novel of the Nez Perce War, and I think I looked this up online and had a good review. So very good deal, nice vintage. Love to find another copy to read and to save this one because it's so nice. Those old books are such nice covers. The Man Who Killed the Deer. I just recently got this book, a little bit beat up. So when I saw this, like practically untouched and brand new, I figured I'd take it and save it and read the other one. That's it for the Westerns that I purchased. Now, some other paperbacks I got because let me just go over these two first. Pemmican by Vardis Fisher. This book I had seen elsewhere over the years, but was never in great shape. People are always asking too much money. This was $15. Really excellent, really excellent condition. So I figured now's the time to get it. I have that in paperback too, but I wanted the hardcover. And War Journey, Fred Grove. I've only read one book of his. It was pretty good. So this was this a free book? This might have been a free book at that Phoenix bookstore outside. If it wasn't free, it was only $1 or $2. I have another Fred Grove book in this stack here that I went through earlier. Okay, so that was all very good. Now, on to some other things that I got. Now, some of this stuff was free, and some of it was maybe $2, $3. I'll go over them here. Now, this, Mr. Ed, I was shocked to find this. It was listed, it was marked $5 inside. I asked the lady, this was the Otter Creek bookstore in Vermont, and I asked her if she can go lower on the price, and she went down to $3, and I said, sale. I will take it for sure. I like this show, and it's just kind of a cute little thing to have. It's book's basically in pretty good condition considering its age. On the internet, when I looked this up, it was going for like over $40. So that was a really good find. It's just a nice, put it in a book bag and just keep it out. And I may never read it, but it's just such a cool thing to have. Now here's something that was free that I would not have otherwise purchased. The Guns of Navarone. Figured for free, maybe it would be nice to have something different to read. Get out of the West once in a while. So that seemed like a good deal. MASH. I have the first novel that I found not too long ago, and found these two on the trip. They were cheap, probably